Nobody's coming to the door. We're good. Hello, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Poole.
You sound like a radio show or something. And it's Mrs. Weeks, so...
Live from Sparks Elementary.
You know what? We should have like a catchphrase or something like that. All right, we're going to be comparing fractions today, and we're going to focus with unlike denominators. We've talked a lot about like denominators in my class, and I'm sure in your class too. Those are easy. Did you do those in second grade?
We did. Yeah. Those like denominators are very easy to look to see.
Very easy. And so it's really sometimes the tough part is when they don't match, and that's what everybody struggles with. Some of you can see that something would be bigger than something else, and others we're going to look for mathematical ways to look and see which one's bigger or which one's smaller. We may use number lines and benchmarks, or we may draw pictures. So we're going to go with all three today.
All three? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
We're ready.
Right.
We're ready.
Okay. Well, I've set up some fractions for us, 3/4 and 5/12, and that's what we're going to focus on. And what do you see about them right off the bat? What are your thoughts about those two fractions, Mrs. Poole?
Well, I'm kind of looking at 3/4 and knowing that if I had a candy bar that I would have eaten almost all of that candy bar, that it would have been more than half of the candy bar.
Yes, very nice.
Okay? And then I'm looking at that 5/12 and I'm thinking about that half benchmark again and thinking about how 6/12 would equal half.
Yep.
And I know that 5 is less than 6, so I know that it's going to be less than half.
Right.
So that's what I see right now. So
Yeah.
I'm saying that 3/4 would be greater than 5/12.
I love that. I love that. And you know what? We talked a lot today in my class about how you could talk through it sometimes. And that's exactly what you just did. You took two fractions and you talked through what it was that you saw about those two fractions and what you already know, which is great. We already know so much about fractions.
We do.
You know? So, all right. Well, we're going to take a look at these two fractions. Three different ways we said. We would mark them on a benchmark to kind of talk them through just like Mrs. Poole just did. We're going to draw a picture, and we're going to look at LCM. Ooh, what is that, Miss Poole?
LCM. LCM.
She's thinking, everybody.
Oh, is that least common multiple?
It is.
And you know what? I noticed today that I had to refresh my class about what multiples are again. Because multiples are when you multiply that number over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
So it's not a factor.
No.
Not a factor, but a multiple.
That's right. And it's that skip counting that many of them have been doing since they were little, especially those 2s and 5s. They've been skip counting those. That's exactly what that is. So you're going to look for those when we try to find a like denominator. But we'll talk about that. Right now, we're back to 3/4 and 5/12. I think I'm going to look at this picture first. Why don't we do that?
Picture.
Okay.
I like that.
We're going to do a picture, okay?
Pictures are always good because you can see things visually.
That's right. Oh, I like that. Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my rectangle, and I'm actually going to split it in half right now because I think that I'm going to look at these fractions stacked on top of one another. So in other words, I know I did. Okay. In other words, this top one is going to reflect 3/4, and this bottom part is going to reflect, if I can get my thing to work, 5/12. Okay? So let's see if I can do this.
So that top one you have to divide into 4 equal parts?
Yes, we'll call
kind
that
of equal.
Kind of equal.
For our purposes, they're equal enough.
Yes. Okay. And I think what I'm going to do here, guys, I'm going to change colors here because...
Oh, good. To shade in the colors?
Yes, I think I'm going to do that so that you guys can see that a little bit better. So, okay. Well, all right. Here we go. 1, 2.
So 3 out of 4 are shaded.
That's right. Okay.
3 out of 4 are shaded.
All right. Now this gets a little trickier because now I have to do the bottom part. Okay. Okay, now this one was split into 4s. I'm going to split this bottom part into 12ths, I think, so we can just look at it, okay?
And before you even do that, can you kind of look at that, what you've got it split into 4s. So how many 12ths will go into just that one box, or how many, I'm not explaining it right,
well, you have a 4th. You're asking about what's equivalent.
What's
12s
equivalent
are
to
equivalent to
1/4? That's it.
You know, that's absolutely right. So 1/4 is actually equal to 3/12. I do know that. And, you know, even if you didn't know that and you were just splitting these up, we're going to kind of get a good idea. But she's absolutely right. That's so nice to know.
Kind of looking at that equivalent fraction as well.
That way we'll know we have it all lined up correctly. Okay,
There we
imagining what I'm doing.
go. You got it.
Okay, all right. Does that look right?
So we
All
got
right.
12 boxes.
Well, maybe I'll do this one in orange or purple.
Purple,
Okay.
and yellow.
right.
Sparks colors.
That's right. And I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3. Oh, I went a little crazy on that one. 4, 5 shaded in. Okay. All right. There we go. Now, just by looking at our picture, Miss Spool, what do you think?
Well, I see that there is more of the yellow that is shaded than the purple. So I would say that the yellow, if I was to eat this, I always like to think of it as food.
Yes,
I don't know. Maybe it's 3 o'clock or whatever that
Send
is.
food immediately.
Food. I will take any fractions of food. So if I was eating that candy bar, I would have eaten more of the yellow candy bar than I would have of the purple
one.
candy bar.
Absolutely. So it looks like, just looking at this right now, that 3/4 is a greater fraction than 5/12.
It is
right?
greater than.
All right. Okay. Well,
Should we put that symbol in?
Oh, I think we should. I don't know what color I'm on here, guys, but we're going to go this way, and it's greater than.
Greater than.
There you go.
3/4 is greater than 5/12.
I'm actually going to see if I can squeeze in here a number line so we can also talk about that, because
Ooh.
that was where all your talk really made me think about this number line when you were first starting to talk about what you knew about these fractions.
Using that
So,
benchmark.
Yes, and that's awesome. Okay, well, when we talk about benchmarks, we talk about, mostly we focus on 3, and that is 0.
0.
Yep.
1/2.
Which I'm going to attempt to put like right about here.
That looks good.
Yep. Okay.
And 1.
Right.
Or 1 whole.
Okay, so when you were talking about these 3/4 and 5/12, the things that I heard from you were mentioning all this benchmark stuff. So why don't you help me place 3/4 and 5/12 on this number line, and maybe that will help me prove once again that 3/4 is a greater fraction. So
Okay, well, 3/4 I see is 2/4 would be 1/2. That would be
Right.
the equivalent.
That's
so
what
I
you
know
know.
that.
You
That's
know
what I
that,
know.
yes.
So I'm going to take that 3/4 now and think about where would 3 come between 2/4 and 4/4. So it's going to be right in between that 1/2 and that whole, because I know
Right.
that whole is also 4/4.
that's really great. So I'm going to go ahead and write this in here because I love the way you talked that through. That this right here, oh, I had a pointer. Didn't I used to have a pointer? Okay, let's see if I do. Here we go. There we go. This right here represents 2/4, and this down here represents 4/4. So we know split in between is going to be 3/4. But I love that. I love the way you talked that through. Okay, so now the other one is 5/12. And what do you feel about that?
5/12. Well, I know that 6/12 again is an equivalent to
I love that.
1/2.
Yep, you sure
So
do.
I know that the 5 is very close to that
What is
6.
this?
So it's going to be very close to 1/2.
Right.
So it's going to be closer to the 1/2 than it is to the 0.
Correct. Okay, I gotta find a good color for this, but I'm gonna put him right here. That is a terrible color, but okay, 5/12.
5/12.
Okay, so even from this number line, we've now proved once again that 3/4 is the greater fraction.
Is greater.
Correct? All
You
right.
got it.
Now, one more thing, right, to go.
Ooh.
Okay.
Now let's put the math part into
this
it.
is the math.
This is where we put the numbers in.
This is LCM. We've talked about this in class. This is least common multiple. We've talked about factors a lot, but multiples are a little bit different. And once again, even though we pretty much decided that we know that 3/4 is the greater fraction, we're going to show it mathematically. So least common multiple is finding the multiple that they have in common that's the smallest, obviously. So in order to do this is why they tell you, we tell them, practice, practice, practice your multiplication facts, because
Yes.
these multiples are a lot easier if you actually know them. See, watch this. Oh, Miss Pool's going to help me out for 4s. You ready?
4. We're
Here
going
we
to
go.
start with 4.
Yep.
8.
Yep.
12.
Woo!
16.
Yep.
Oh, 20.
Uh-huh.
24.
Okay, well, how about we stop
We
there?
ran out of room. We'll
Yeah,
stop.
we'll stop. In fact, I've probably gone off the page already anyway. Okay, how about 12?
Ooh, 12. Let me see. 12.
Yep.
24.
Yep.
36. 48.
You did great, but I'm going to stop you there because I think
Do you see something?
that I already see something.
Oh.
You know,
Because remember, our object is to find the least common.
That's
so the
exactly
smallest
right.
number that they have in
Exactly.
common, that they share.
and I see as we're going along these 4s, there's a 12,
Oh, look at
and
that.
here's a 12.
So our least common denominator could actually be a denominator that we already have in a fraction?
We actually already have it, which means we don't even have to change this fraction. Ooh, we lucked out.
I
didn't
only
we?
have half the work to do?
Yep, you
Ooh,
really
fraction
do.
again.
So in this case, we're going to change this. So now we have a common denominator, and we already talked about the fact that having a common denominator, awesome. Oh, so much
Because
easier.
then I only have to look at my numerator
That's
to help
right.
me.
That's right.
Very
Okay, so
easy.
let's go ahead and see what we can do here. All right, I'm going to change this to a 12. This is why we learned equivalent fractions
It
first.
is.
Because now we have to talk about how do I change a 4 into a 12. So what do you need to do to make a 4 a 12?
Well, from 4 to 12, it's getting bigger, so I know that when a number gets bigger, I have to multiply.
Okay, and
I
I'm
need
going
to
to do that.
multiply.
And what do you
And
need to multiply by?
4 times 3 is
Woo!
12.
Okay, and
Oh.
whatever I do to the bottom, if
The
I do something in the denominator, what do I have to do?
I think maybe you have to do the same thing to the
I
numerator.
think you
To make
do.
a 1 whole.
Yep. So there is our 3 over 3 that we're multiplying by. 3 times 3 is?
9.
And now that we have the same denominator, they're both 12. Out of 12, we just have to look at that top number, the numerator. And of course, I see and you see that 9 is greater than 5.
You
There
got
you
it.
go.
So again, we have 9 twelfths is greater than 5 twelfths, or 3/4 is greater than 5 twelfths.
Very good. So now we've shown you number lines, the picture, and we've shown you least common multiple, right?
We have. Should we give them some to practice?
Yes, we need to do that. Very nice job.
Okay.
Okay, here's some for you guys to do. We're going to give you 2 to do at home. How about that? All right, number 1, you're going to compare 2/3 and 4/8. And you can see which one's greater. And the second one, you're going to compare 5/9 and 1/4. Okay, guys. Now, I would love to see the math on this. In fact, if you can do it a couple of different ways, I would really, really like that. So, anything that you can do number line wise, picture wise, and least common multiple, I would love to see that too. So, get to work. All right, everybody?
Practice makes perfect,
That's
right?
right. That's what I heard. All right.
Uh-huh.
Have a good evening.
See you later, Gators.